So this is probably one of the most awful takes a Pokemon fan can have. Basically, the whole reason why Fairy types was created because there were no counters to Dragon types. That's literally the reason why they had to create. They were going to create a new type either way because Dragon type was the most unstoppable type. No one could counter it. Ice types are the garbage. And you can of course use Dragon types against other dragons, but there was not a type that could actually specifically counter Dragon types. Okay, of course he could just treat one of the existing types and make it counter Dragon, but that would make no sense. Okay, Ice type was the only type that could really counter dragons. And then in Generation 6 Game Freak said, yeah, we're making a new type. This Dragon type problem is an issue because you have this one type, no type, like even Ice types, they're neutral against Dragon type attacks. So a good Dragon type sweeper could just take down an Ice type relatively quickly, but then you have a Ice type that is immune to Dragon. That if you use a Dragon move against it, so for example, if you use your Choice Spec Dragon type move, it will be much less of an incentive if they have a Fairy type on the team because we can't attack this. I have to switch out. What's to say they switch on to like a Clefable, one of the most popular Fairy types, and like sit. We can't switch. This is obviously from a salty Dragon type fanboy who was obviously upset over the Fairy type existing because it destroys the Dragon type. It's a counter. The Dragon type needed a counter, okay? And Fairy types do have counters too. There's the Steel type and Poison type are the best counters against the Fairy types as well. So the Fairy types do have counters. Poison and Steel types are, I think, the best counters. I think those are the types that are best against them. And of course, Fairy types also go against like Dark types pretty well. So basically all the types that were pretty overpowered. The only type that really isn't counted that much is Steel type. But then again, there's still Fire types that counter Steel types relatively quickly, and Fighting types, which are no longer, it isn't Gen 1 anymore. There are tons of good Fighting types and Fire types that counter a Steel type relatively easily as well. So, yeah. There are tons of reasons why Fairy types should exist. One, it counters dragons, which used to be the most overpowered type in the game, which had no counter type to it at all. Even Steel type, which is considered the other extremely overpowered type, at least had Fighting and Fire types to fight against it. Which are its two main weaknesses. And the other overpowered type was Dark type, but still had Fighting types it had to deal with. Fire types counter Dark types relatively easily, and Bug types if you want to use a Bug type Pokemon. But then they still introduced Fairy types to counter Bug. Not counter Bug. And counter Dark types. Fairy types counter Dark types pretty easily as well. Which a lot of legendaries are Dark type or Dragon type. Those are the most common types of legendaries. So basically, for example, Fairy type legendary would be very useful, which is why they banned Zacian to Ubers, because they know that this is basically the counter to any type of Dragon type as well. I think the real problem is because it's Pokemon like Zacian, some of the Pokemon that have power creep with the Fairy type. But even then, in the Ubers, legendaries, the most Dragon types are still kind of the most popular here. And if you plan your strategy correctly, for example, you can plan around Fairy types. It isn't that difficult. And yeah, this is mostly a Dragon type fanboy being really upset over Fairy types. Well, they're not going to remove the Fairy type. It's not. If you want to go back to Dragon types being overpowered, you can just go back. Okay, if this is a competitive player, go back to the Gen 5 meta. It still exists. Gen 4 meta, Gen 3 meta, where Dragon types are overpowered and unsacked, basically. So much where Pokemon like Salamence and Garchomp had to be banned. If a type like Fairy type existed, Garchomp would not have been banned, because you have had a type that completely countered Garchomp, a type that completely countered Salamence. Two Pokemon that were banned to Ubers, I think in Generation 4. And I think you had some Dragon types to be banned to Generation 5 Ubers, mostly legendaries, and Blaziken was banned as well. But yeah, that's about this video here. Goodbye.